The assumption that the stranger brings problems is, of course, something that lies behind the xenophobia of Viktor Orban and indeed of the Reform Party. And this needs challenging. It needs challenging on philosophical and religious, um, on a philosophical and religious basis to start with. So, beginning with the question, what do we owe the stranger? And in the age of barbed wire borders, let's build a wall, a beautiful wall, and political slogans masquerading as policy. It's a question that has fallen out of fashion. But in both ancient Greece philosophy, in great ancient Greek philosophy, and in Christian theology, it was once a central moral imperative. So Keir Starmer's fit of rhetorical melancholia, where he warns that Britain risks becoming an island of strangers. What if the real danger is that we are is not that we're surrounded by strangers, is we have forgotten how to welcome them. If we begin with ancient Greece, where xenos means both stranger and guest, the Greek language itself is slightly confused. The virtue of philoxenia, literally friendship in the stranger, was not mere politeness, it was sacred obligation. To violate it was to tempt divine wrath. And in one of the most evocative myths, Zeus and Hermes descend incognito to the region of Phrygia, and they knock on 1,000 doors and are rebuffed at every turn, a little bit like Christ at the inn, the Holy Family at the inn, mocked, ignored, and shooed away like vermin, and then in a crumbling hut they are welcomed by Baucis and Philemon, an elderly couple with almost nothing, and they kill their only goose to honour their guests. And only after this hospitality do the gods reveal themselves and reward the couple by sparing them from a flood that drowns the rest of the village. This has parallels, of course, with Abraham and the visit of the three angels, which is followed by the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. And as Ovid records in Metamorphosis, let me die at the same hour as my beloved, Philemon says, and never see her tomb, nor she mine. And they are rewarded by being turned into entwined trees. The moral, be kind to strangers. They may be gods among us, or they may simply be more human than you. In the Christian tradition, the idea is even more radical. The Hebrew concept of chesed, often translated as loving kindness or steadfast mercy, is a divine attribute made flesh in the person of Christ. I was a stranger and you welcomed me, says Christ in Matthew 25. When, Lord? The righteous ask. Truly I tell you, whenever you did this for one of the least of these, you did it for me. Here we have the theology of disguise again. The stranger is not a threat, he is the test, or she is the test. This is not a cosy metaphor, it is a theological subversion. The infinite divine, the infinite God, chooses to appear not in gold but in rags, not as Caesar but as the refugee infant fleeing Herod. In medieval mystery plays, Christ often appears as a beggar, testing villagers with a disguised plea for shelter. Not unlike the fairy godmother in Cinderella, the truly wicked are not the murderers or the thieves, but the indifferent. And the theme echoes again through folklore in the 1953 musical Kismet. Based loosely on the Arabian Nights, a disguised caliph mingles with his people and discovers both cruelty and kindness. The song, I Was a Stranger in Paradise, tells the story of a soul transformed by unexpected love, not unlike the Greek or the biblical stranger, who settles our sense of entitlement and demands a moral response. And then, from the mists of British myth, we have the tale from the Arthurian cycle, not of knights in shining armour, but of an unknown wanderer, a man with no name who arrives at Camelot during a famine. He is ragged, foreign, and speechless, and suspicious knights mock him and call him the kitchen boy. Yet Queen Guinevere sees something more and offers him food and work, and unknown to them, this is Sir Gareth, the brother of Sir Gawain, travelling incognito to prove that nobility is not inherited, but enacted. And when he later triumphs in battle and reveals his name, Guinevere weeps not for joy but for shame. She didn't honour the stranger for his own sake. The tale is told in Le Morte d'Arthur, but its modern echo is sharp. Are we still capable of recognising nobility when it arrives unannounced accent-heavy, undocumented, or dishevelled. Today, philoxenia is dead in the water, it seems, and chesed has been replaced with suspicion. Instead of Baucus and Philemon, we have Reform UK and the Home Office. Nigel Farage warns of boat people. Viktor Orban warns of border incursions. Robert Fico cozies up to Moscow, and Donald Trump snarls about poisoning the blood of the nation. Language disturbingly adjacent to the 1930s ideology. Even Starmer, whose instincts are less cruel, has fallen into the trap of moral distancing, speaking of Britain as an island of strangers, when perhaps he ought to be asking, why are we strangers to ourselves? The great tragedy in modern politics is that the stranger is no longer seen as divine, but as a demographic threat. But it wasn't always so. In Homer, the stranger is theosis, xenos, the god in disguise. In the Gospels, the stranger is Christ. In Arthurian legend, he is the rightful knight. In Kismet, he becomes the beloved. Even Tolkien reminds us, not all those who wander are lost. And perhaps then the stranger is not the problem. Perhaps the problem is that we have lost the capacity for wonder. We have become a people afraid of being interrupted, afraid of being asked to share, afraid of what the stranger might reveal about ourselves. And so, I'm going to leave you with this idea. The next time we hear of someone expelled, detained, or turned away at the border, ask yourself, is this a spy or a saint in rags? Is this a threat to sovereignty or a test of our humanity? We shouldn't become an island of strangers. We should become strangers to grace. We should entertain angels unaware.